To life and to blessings. Don't try this at home. The warning sign says, right? You know, get some gunpowder and some this and that, and you make an explosive. Oh, might, God forbid, it could have a bad end. So today on internet, social media, you have a lot of things that are open to everybody that will be self-destructive, teaching you how to make from homemade bombs to other horrific, terrible things. So don't try it at home. Actually, don't try it anywhere. Spiritually, also, we can have sometimes things. Don't try this at home. Why? If it's spiritual, if it's divine, because not always are we so spiritual and so divine that we're ready to try this and we're ready to implement this. In life, you need to take step by step. Life's a journey. And in the journey, you can't go to the end of the journey as now the Olympics, right? You can't go to cross the finish line until you've started, until you went quarter way, halfway, and so on and so forth, till you could, go for gold. So likewise, in our spiritual journey, very often we want to go for gold, and that doesn't work. Like Aaron's two sons, Nadav and Avihu, right? We're speaking about making a sanctuary for God. Well, when the sanctuary was finally made, they went for gold. They went into the Holy of Holies and brought an offering that was not something instructed. And they died. So don't try it at home. Don't build the Ark of the Covenant at home. Don't go into the sanctuary of God at a time that you're not ready or not supposed to be there. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We begin today, chapter 29. As we say, forewarned is forearmed. So I'm forewarning you now, folks. Chapter 29 is going to hit very deep and hard. Don't try this at home yet. Until you did the other 28 chapters. If you only learned the 28 chapters, but didn't embrace it to live with it, then this chapter is not something to start with. We're going to learn it, and it is important, but when it's 28 chapters that came before that we've implemented in our lives, then this has its very important place. I'll try to translate afterwards what that could mean to us today, because this is going to be very heavy hitting over here, as they say, right? So it's like only for the heavy hitters, right? The novice, don't try it at home. All right. So we're speaking about to the Beinoni, remember. The Beinoni, the person who has complete mastery over their actions. Every action is aligned with the divine. Every word that they express is aligned with God's will. And every willful thought is also aligned with God, right? Yet, the Beinoni is not a righteous person. So what does that mean? Their heart, they don't have control over. They don't have control over their heart, right? That's why the negative thoughts will come up and they still have to push them away after a whole lifetime. So at one point, in such a struggle, you might feel your heart is a heart of stone. Sometimes the heart can be a little more spontaneous, more connected, more sense of, connection. But sometimes you might have the Beinoni will have a heart of stone. And everything that they try to do meditate upon the greatness of God, to feel some kind of connection. It's not happening. They're not feeling any connection. Again, they're still masters over their behavior. We're not talking about behavior here. We're talking about the heart, right? The heart, again, is beyond the control of the Beinoni. And there are times that we feel in our heart a connectivity. And times in our heart we feel despondence. We feel, it's a heart of stone. It's dull, right? And when I'm praying, I'm not feeling the fire. I'm not feeling the connection, particularly when it comes to prayer. That's where it's going to reflect itself, right? And even though, as we learned at the end of chapter 27, right, that you can sanctify yourself with which is permitted for you. So you sanctify yourself, right? So and which will then bring you to more sensitivity to the divine. Yet it's not working. So what do you do? And this is the point over here that I'm saying, don't try this at home yet. Because this is the Beinoni we're talking about, right? So the advice is from the Zohar. The Zohar gives a metaphor. The metaphor is as follows. You want to have a fire, right? You want to create a fire. So, and you got a fire going. But how do you start a fire? You start with little pieces of wood, right? But now you want to take a big log and you want to put it into the fire, but the fire is not so strong. So what do you have to do? You have to break the log. You have to break the log because the fire won't take to a huge log, but it'll take to pieces of a log. So when you cut it, when you chop it up, right, then the fire can consume the log, right? Well, that's a beautiful metaphor, says the Zohar. What's the log a metaphor? My ego, right? My body. My body that I eat and drink, and even though maybe I'm not allowing it to control me, but the more you eat and more you drink, even though you are the Beinoni, it's still feeding it's feeding your body and your animal soul. And as a result, at certain points, you may have a coarseness of your heart, your heart being dulled, and that ego needs now to be chopped up. It needs to be put in its place, right? Because it's arrogant. It's coming from klipa, the animal soul, exalting itself. And what's happening here? The fire of my divine soul in my meditation on the divine is not consuming the log. It's not taking my animal instinct and having it consumed. So therefore what I have to do is take the arrogance, I have to crush it, I have to cast it down to the ground. I have to splinter in order for what purpose? That it should finally take the fire of my soul, and the fire of my my soul should be able to take over the animal instinct that I have, and that it should not dull my heart. How do you do that? What does that mean? Right? So it means you have to crush your spirit. Right? That's what we're talking about. That's why I'm saying we've got to be careful with this, right? Because most people are not stable enough to do this. Right? If you're going to crush yourself, you're not going to be stable, and you're going to come out really bad on the other side of it. But we're talking about a Beinoni who knows exactly who they are and knows exactly what purpose in life is, and is got stability that they can do this. And even then, we'll see there could be some negativity, right? There could be some negativity. And this is only a method. This is a methodology on how to humble the negativity of our animal soul and its arrogance, right? It's a method. That's what we're going through, right? So what does he say? You have to make an appointed time to humble yourself. Why an appointed time? Because you can't do it. You can't. You don't do it. You got to do it like not intentionally. Exactly. You got to do it intentionally. You can't do it just like off the cuff, right? You got to do it intentionally. And what are you going to do? You're going to speak to yourself. It's a conversation you're going to have to yourself, right? And what is that conversation? And the point again. What's the point of the conversation? To humble, to break the negative spirit of me from within, right? The Sitra Acher. So first, the thing you're going to say to your heart. Sorry. Why are you breaking that, your very spirit? Because that's who you are. In other words, who's the me? And remember, this is very important because later on we're going to change this completely. Later on we're going to completely change this after, after these couple chapters, we're going to completely change who our identity is. But right now, for the purpose of crushing your negativity, who is you? Your negativity. That's who you are. What's the proof? It's my first responder to anything. My animal soul is the first thing that brings to my conscious awareness is what my animal soul desires, right? That's me. Another proof is, as we say in the blessings every morning, the divine soul that you put into me. In other words, there's a me before you put in your divine soul. Who's the me? My animal soul. My body and animal soul, right? That's me. As opposed to righteous people. Righteous people, they only have one me, and that's their divine. Why? Because they have worked over their animal soul to such a degree that they've transformed it. And this is what it says. Hillel said that he told his students that he's going now to do a favor for his body and go eat. Because he saw his body as separate from him. Not separate like a mirage that he was seeing separate, like having delusional. But he didn't see his body as being him. Who is him? His divine soul. That's who he is. He's a tzaddik. He's a righteous person. So he transformed himself. So now the body, he has a body. Okay, I'm going to do a favor for my body. I'm going to have compassion on my body. That poor, lowly creature that was foreign to him. For me, my body's not foreign to me. That I need some coffee, I need something to eat. That's not foreign to me. That's me. What I'm trying to aspire to is to a higher me. Right? That's what we're trying to aspire to. But the me of me is, right? That's who we are, right? So the Beinoni recognizes that. Even the Beinoni, right, is that. Not like the righteous. Is that clear? So this is who the Beinoni now is talking to, recognizing that's the me of me. All right. Again, later we're going to change all of this, right? But why are we doing this now? What's the purpose over here? I want to make sure we're on the same page. What's the purpose? Why is the Alter Rebbe doing this? Why? Right?
It's resistant.
But because the Beinoni is not able to the heart is dull. And he wants to bring the flame back to the heart that feels dullness.
So it's an extreme situation. It's not something a Beinoni would be doing like.
It's
like every now and then.
Exactly. And this is a methodology to bring back the flame of the heart, that passion for Hashem, right? And particularly in prayer. Okay? So he speaks to himself, he says, of his animal soul that is removed from God, the utmost remoteness, lusting and having a lusting drive, that lusting for permissible things, like the coffee, lusting for forbidden things. Now, but the meaning will never act upon it. We're not talking about acting upon it. But the fact is, there is that desire there, right? There is that lust there. Remember, by the righteous, there is no such thing as a lust for something. A righteous never has a desire for food, to eat food, to satiate their needs. That's not righteous, right? They don't have that, right? So, but this person does, and therefore he thinks, oops, oh, I'm sorry, I went too far. Okay, that's today's class. Yeah. I started tomorrow's.
But the righteous can be hungry and feel weak physically. It's a question mark. Can they?
If they feel hungry, they feel hungry for God. We feel hungry for the body, and underlying that is really a hunger for God. They are attuned to the underlying truth. That's a hunger for God that expresses itself in the body. We're attuned to the body, so therefore we feel that. We could be aware that it's deeper than that, but that's only an awareness. The tzaddik, that hunger in the body, is truly only an experience of a hunger of the soul. It'll be transparent to it, in other words.
Yeah, because this morning we were reading in Hayom Yom that there's the Alter Rebbe was warning us against mortification.
Right.
So this is a type of mortification that the Benoni.
This is not a mortification. No, thank you. Actually, thank you for bringing that up. That's good. Yeah, today's Hayom Yom. Right. This is not a mortification, because mortification would be go roll in the snow, deprive yourself. This is a conversation you're having with yourself now.
Okay.
Different. That's not mortification. This is about allowing your soul to shine, and therefore to bring back the fire of the divine soul and its love for God, that you're feeling a dullness now in your heart. So it's not mortification. It's not saying here go fast. It's not saying here go and roll in the snow or go, beat your body up. When the metaphor is only about chopping yourself up to humble yourself through this conversation.
Well, what does he say to himself?
Well, one of the things you just said that that'll be tomorrow's conversation more, right? But but that's not mortification. Mortification means you're doing something to the body.
Okay.
You're talking to yourself.
Right. Okay, that's what I
A very big difference. You're not rolling in the snow. You're not like roll, to kind of make the body despicable, right? You're talking about it in order to humble it. That would be mortification, when you would do that, right? Or fasting to mortification of the body, right? That's all. This is a conversation, right? That's so. Even though seems to be somewhat similar, but it's not the same.
So the conversation is
Between you and yourself.
not with Hashem.
Well, that's the same thing. If it's with you, it's with God, right? I mean, of course. Right, but it's not so much to God, because it's about you're talking to yourself. You're talking in the presence of God, but when you're talking to Hashem in the Amidah, so you're asking heal, you're asking give livelihood, right? You're saying, that's speaking to God in the asking of God, right? Here, you're not asking of God. You're talking to yourself in order to humble that negative side in you, right? So it's not really speaking to, you're not really speaking to God. You're speaking in the presence of God,
Yes.
but you're speaking to yourself. It's important to recognize that. That's because that might miss the message, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you're speaking to God, I need the humbling. I need the humbling. So I got to speak to me. I got to speak to me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay, so just to put this into, just to put this in a context for ourselves of what this could mean for us. In this, well, we're going to see. We just started, right? It's going to get stronger on of the things that the person speaks to themselves. But sometimes, it's good to put aside a moment and just, if you did something and recognize, the animal soul and the body, that it has its agenda, just wants to disconnect you. And sometimes it's good to talk to ourselves and to humble that spirit in me that is, that's trying to take control of me. So there is a place for that, but you have to do that in full recognition and full awareness that this is only a method to humble your negativity and not defining you. Not defining. Later on, we're gonna, even though we said, you are the animal soul, right? The righteous, they're not. They are their divine soul. This is not to define you as that. This is just a method in order to humble that. Because in definition, who you are is the divine soul, as we will learn later, right? We'll get to later. But this is in order to, right? So that's never lost. It's not like, obviously I'm a bad Jew. Not a bad Jew, right? You have your soul in you. It's what defines you as a Jew. You don't lose that because of this. But now, when you're firm about that, that can never be lost, which means now I could fix what I need to fix, which is an important thing. If you see yourself as a broken person, if that's your self-image, then that's why you should never try this. If you see yourself as a broken person, this is going to break you more. But if you see yourself as whole, complete, and worthy, not because you did something, because you are something divine, you're a piece of the divine, then this won't destroy you. On the contrary, it will help you to reveal and to manifest your wholeness. Because your wholeness is because God made you that way, not because you did something, right? So you can't undo it, right? You can't undo it. But if you don't have that firmly implanted in you, which very few people do, unless they've studied Chassidus sufficiently, they don't, and therefore, because by nature, who's our first responder? What do I attune to? My animal soul. Well, my animal soul is broken, right? And therefore, if I'm dealing from that perspective, and I'm speaking to my brokenness, well, I'm just going to accentuate it and make it even more broken. But where's the wholeness in me, right? So then it's just going to bring me down. But if I'm so firmly aware and aware that I have the divine in me, and we learned that in chapters 2 through 5, right? And I'm struggling constantly between the two, right? Which we learned 9 through 17, right? In my conscious awareness, and then we learn from 18 to 25 that what? The hidden love that we have. Well, that's there. And that's my true ultimate reality, as we're going to get to eventually. So then I have a firmness, a groundedness that this methodology won't be, won't have negative results. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah, thank you for framing our mind in the right place so we can understand this properly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. Rambam coming up. Thank you. Yeah, amazing stuff.